Hi everyone, Alan from Newlands Pets, and today we're talking about feeding an adult dog. We do a lot about feeding puppies and feeding senior dogs, but of course dogs are actually adult for the longest period of their life, so it's worth looking at the ways that you can feed them and a few pitfalls to miss. So you'll often be feeding a puppy food. It could be a dry puppy food, it could be wet, it could be raw, or you might be feeding an all life stage food. So that's a food that you can feed as soon as the dog's weaned all the way to when they're senior, and they're unfortunately no longer with us. So they can be fed for the whole of all of their life stages, hence all life stage. So what you'll often do if you're feeding a puppy food is you'll move over to the adult equivalent. Super easy to do. You probably know what brand or what range you're feeding, and often it's best to move to something relatively similar to get that transition. It doesn't mean you have to stay like that, but it's often best to do that. Now, depending on the breed, depending on how quick they've matured, that can be anything from 10, 11, 12 months up to 18 months, depending what breed and what stage they're maturing at, really. So it will depend on your dog. You're going to know what stage that is, but that's when you move over to an adult feeding guide or an adult feeding food like this adult food here. Then you've got the same options you had when you were feeding the puppy. So we've got wet food, comes in so many different varieties, as I'm sure you're aware. You've got your dry food, there's another wet food there, you've got your raw, and something we don't mention quite as much is you've got freeze dried as well. So that really comes almost under the bracket of raw food. It's a more convenient way of feeding raw, and it suits some dogs in some situations. So that's worth bearing in mind as well. So it's fairly simple, to be honest. As with anything, you just come in, ask us the questions, and we're happy to help. Drop us a message on this video, or get in contact, give us a call, send us an email. Loads of different ways of doing it. But the one thing to do is not stress about it. A lot of people get worried about that transition, and it's not too hard, to be honest. To stick to something relatively similar, do it slowly if you want, but your dog's going to tell you. Often we get to a stage where they don't want to eat their puppy food quite as much, or they're appearing to be fussy. That's often the stage that we're moving over to adult food. Like I said, around 12 months, depending on the breed. Get in contact if you've got any questions.